Okay, so after you have cleaned up your audio on Audacity and you have clean audio files without background noise, the next step is to mix those audio files. And I like to use Cakewalk. I used Audacity for this at the beginning, but I moved over to Cakewalk, which is also a free program, but I just like the interface a little bit more. I think it's more user-friendly than Audacity. Again, I still use Audacity for noise reduction and to create clean audio files. And then, so let's go ahead and open Cakewalk. So here's my desktop, and Cakewalk by BandLab is a free download. You can just Google it, install it. Open Cakewalk. Most likely, if it's your first time opening it, it'll show you this screen, new project, right? If you have been working on other things, there's recent projects. So new project. We know we're working with 5 tracks, right? So let's go ahead and pick this 4-track preset. Okay. So here's a new file. Now, one thing, if you're new to Cakewalk, don't be intimidated. It's actually pretty intuitive. But what I would check first is up here in the... oh, I see. You can't quite see it because I'm blocking it. All right. So up here in the corner, if you click this drop-down menu, Cakewalk gives you a few different workspace layouts. These are preset layouts. And for this project, I think that basic will be fine. It'll, that gives you all you need for now. You can click around and get to know the others if you want. Advanced, Arranger, Make Beats, Mix, Record. They offer different, layouts for different things, but basic should be plenty for now. So what you see here is your 4 audio tracks from this template that we opened. I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. You wouldn't really need this, so collapse this. And so we have 4 tracks here. We're going to be working with 5 tracks. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new audio track by right-clicking, and then I select Insert Audio Track. Okay, here it is, track 5. It showed up minimized, so you click these 2 little arrows here. This is Restore Strip Size, and there's your 5 tracks. Let's go ahead and rename them for clarity here. You just double-click the name of the track. Let's say Violin 1. Double-click Violin 2. Viola. You don't have to do this. You don't have to name them, but it helps me keep things in orderly base. Okay, so now all you really have to do, I'm going to drag this over here. You just drag them. So here's our clean Violin 1. So drag it here and just drop it. It's going to import it. There it is. Violin 2. And don't worry about lining them up just yet. Number 3, viola. Number 4, cello. Number 5, bass. Okay, so you have these zoom out and zoom in buttons here. You can use the buttons, or you can use your scroll wheel on your mouse while holding down the key Alt. So that allows you to zoom in and out. Okay. So now the next step is to line these up. Now here, really, how you do this will depend on how you made your click track. Okay, for this particular project, which was, again, the very first one we did, I had musicians count out loud 1, 2, 1, and then they start playing. So if I zoom in here a little closer, I can just see visually where each student said 1, 2, 1, right? So that looks like that. This is probably what that is. Here, cello, I don't see it, so we'll have to figure that out. Bass, it's probably here. So let's just double check that that's the case. So the S on each track allows you to listen to only that track. It mutes all of the other tracks. So let's click here, solo for violin 1. Let's click around here, and spacebar will allow you to start playing. So let's listen to that little bit.
1, 2, 1.
Okay, so that is right. That's the 1, 2, 1 there. Now let's solo the violin 2, just to confirm that that's what we're looking at.
1, 2, 1.
There it is. Viola.
1, 2, 1.
Okay, that's it. Now cello. Maybe she didn't count out loud.
1, 2,
Oh.
1.
Okay, so she did, but it's quiet.
1, 2, 1.
And you didn't quite see it on the wave form, but that's okay, because you can see clearly here. That's where she starts playing. Okay, so let's listen to the bass count.
1, 2, 1.
Okay, so now we know what those are, and next step is to line those up just visually. Okay, and again, it doesn't need to be yet like super exact. We just want to, so I'm just dragging the top here of each track. Here, again, she didn't count, but we know where she starts playing, so we can kind of line that up with the viola approximately. We know the viola plays on the offbeat, so that's just, you know, very approximate. And then the bass, let's just drag it so that the count is kind of lined up with the others, and the cello and bass are lined up. So now we get to line them up more exactly. So first thing I would do here is just get rid of some of the extra stuff here on the front of each track and before the count. So with Cakewalk, you click, press S for split, click here, and just press delete on your keyboard. You can do the same with the, oops, sorry, I pressed the wrong thing. S, and delete this, and the cello also S, click, delete. All right, so let's scroll over just a little bit. And why don't we start from the bottom up with the bass? So I am going to zoom in just a little bit here. Okay, I'm just with my scroll wheel on my mouse, I'm zooming in. Okay, so let's solo the bass to make sure that's the first note. And it is. We know the cello and from the score, knowing the P's, the cello and the bass are together here. So I'm just lining up as best I can, cello and bass. Now let's add the cello. So now bass and cello, let's listen. Okay, so that's it. It's pretty together, right? Zoom out, maybe sample a later moment in the piece just to make sure they're still together. How about here? All right, that sounds close enough. So we're done with cello and bass. All right, and again, I'm just using my mouse, the scroll wheel, and the Alt key to kind of navigate the space. All right, so now viola. We know she plays on the offbeat, so kind of line it up with the bottom tracks. Another thing you could do, you click here. We know the bass player counted out loud clearly, and so did the viola. So, well, and so did the cello. So we could just solo, add the viola track to the solo here, and let's listen to see if they're counting together.
1, 2, 1.
Okay, so it's not quite,
1, 2, 1.
the count is not quite together. So you could just,
1, 2.
so she's early, move it a little bit back.
1, 2, 1.
It's close, but not quite yet.
1, 2, 1.
Okay, now you could do that, or you could just listen to all three tracks. Okay, so what's interesting here is that sometimes also their counting might not be exact, right? So you cannot rely only on that. And it looks like that seems to be the case right now. So we'll just drag it again, listen. Okay, that seems close enough. So we're going to leave it, and then violin 2. Now at this point, It makes more sense, instead of soloing each track, to just mute the one we're not using yet, which is violin 1. So we hear all of the others. Here's the count. Line up visually the count with the viola, and let's play and listen.
1.
Okay, that's pretty good. And now let's unmute the first violin. Again, line up maybe the count visually, just dragging, and then let's listen.
1.
Okay, that's pretty good. So what do we do now? Now we need to work with the levels. We want to balance the volume of each track so that we have a good mix. There are a few different ways to do that. If you, here in Cakewalk, if you hit the key D, as in delta, with your keyboard, it's going to show you these volume bars here. And let's just play the track and adjust the volume of each track down here. You see violin 1, violin 2, viola, cello, bass. All right, so here we go. Okay, so let's say you're happy with that. I guess it's good enough for now. You can, go as exact and precise as you want. One thing to keep in mind, if you're not super familiar with mixing, is that you want to make sure, basically, that none of these indicators hit the red mark when it's really loud, because then things are going to sound distorted. So I'm just going to turn this down for a little bit so you can hear me better. But you see everything is green here, which is pretty good. If I were to say turn this way up, start getting to the orange. If you see red, that's bad news. And then here to the right, you have the master volume. And that's kind of loud. You see orange, because that's the sum of all of these. So you have to look at the master and make sure that the master is not peaking. If it's peaking, then all of your levels need to come down a little bit. And orange is good, I think. So you want the mix to be as loud as possible without peaking, without distorting. So you want to be at the loudest points, just hitting that orange. Okay, and that seems good. All right, so we're happy with our mix. I'm gonna hit the key D here to make that disappear. And then I'm gonna go back to the very opening. So now we know our tracks are aligned and they're mixed, they're balanced. So one thing I like to do now is trim all of them so that they all start at the same time. So I think I'm gonna click here. So we're lined up with the beginning of the bass track, and then hit Control A to select all of the tracks, then hit S to split them, and then they're all split, and you get rid of the extra here. Then I'm gonna zoom out, make sure I can see the beginning of the track. Control A, and I'm gonna drag all of them to hit the beginning. All right, so now they're all lined up and ready to go. I can click here to go to the beginning of the track, and then hit play. So there it is. Okay, and then if you want, you can zoom out. You can go also towards the end here and just, you know, clip all of them. Oh, excuse me, I clicked the wrong thing. Control A, S for split, and then delete, 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 delete. It's not really important to do this at the end of the track because you can just trim it later when you're on your video editing program. Okay, so now all the tracks are here. You're going to, well, first of all, make sure to save regularly. Control S, I didn't save until just now, which normally I don't do. I save obsessively. And then just find wherever it is that you're, you have your project at. So here. And what I like to do is I create a new folder with my final audio renders. In this case, it's only one because it's just this quintet. But if you're working with a lot more kids and a lot more sections, what you want to do is mix all the first violins together first, and then save that as a file, and then export that as a new render, and then mix all of your second violins together and do the same. And then when you have your sections mixed and balanced, then you bring in each section to something that would look very much like what we're just what we're working on right now. So I'm going to name this audio renders. Let's go in there and let's call this Brahms final mix. Now this, you're saving the project here, which is not the same. This is not important, just click OK. You're saving the project, which is different from saving the, from creating the render. So it's two different things. So you're going to click File, Export, Audio. Okay, so it's telling me specified selection did not contain any audio data. Please ensure that the selection contains the audio data you wish to bounce. And I'm not sure why that happened, but I think if I just try again, export audio. All right, now we have to go back to the, let's see, same spot as before. Audio renders, Brahms final mix. And let's say again, Brahms final render as a WAV file, and then export. Okay, it's doing it right here. And now it's done. So let's close Cakewalk and let's make sure that that file is where we want it to be. So here it is, all your renders, Brahms final mix. And here it is, Brahms final render. So let's open this. My media player of choice is VLC, which is also a free download. It's super versatile. So let's open that. So there it is. It's our mixed audio file. Okay, so that's the end of this step. And next we go to our video editing program, which in my case, that would be Vegas Movie Studio Platinum. So that will be on the next video.